So today my guest is Datuk Abdul Karim Rahman Hamzah, who is the Minister of Tourism, Arts, Culture, Youth and Sports of Sarawak. He's a long-term YB. If I'm not mistaken, he served 5 terms. So
4 terms.
4 terms. So it's coming up to 20 years, right? You were first elected in 2001. Yes. But he's here in his personal capacity to talk about, his views on basically the Malaysia Agreement and related issues. So Datuk, thank you very much for coming. Let's start off very quickly by asking you, what is your views on MA63?
Well, on a personal note, Malaysian Agreement 1963, the way I see it, is an agreement which brings together and form a nation called Malaysia. Well, after Second World War, there are a few colonies in Southeast Asia, among them Malaya, Singapore, Sabah, Sarawak, Brunei, that is beginning to be quite of a burden to United Kingdom. After the war, they have spent so much money, and looking after colonies like this, small colonies, is becoming quite of a burden. So personally, I see deep inside them, they want to let go. But to let these countries go on its own and becoming independent might not be a wise move, because we have got other neighboring countries who are also looking. Among them, Indonesia, which was under Sukarno at that time. They were waiting for the time to just grab Sabah and Sarawak. And also, Philippines has got a stake over North Borneo, that is Sabah. And that is the responsible part of United Kingdom, which I see, unlike other big colonial masters, where they just cabut lari, leave, and then let the locals determine their own fate. But when it comes to England, they want to be a little bit more responsible, just like how they bring in religion, education. That's where we came in. They want it to be in a nice way. So that's why after Malaya gained independence in 1957, so they feel that, well, why not come up with a bigger...
But sorry, Dato', but isn't that the argument put up by a lot of activists? They argue that because North Borneo and Sarawak were still colonies, they were not in a position to decide whether they wanted to be members of the new federation, and therefore it was forced upon the people of North Borneo and Sarawak.
I can't really say that it's being forced, unless they are the one to decide without hearing the views of those from Sabah and Sarawak. That's the reason why Cobalt Commission was set up, to hear the views of the people. No doubt, when the Cobalt Commission was set up, comprising of 3 from UK and 2 from this side of the region, they did went down. I would have loved to see a what do you call that? A referendum. But then that time in the 60s, money is a problem, logistic is a problem. So I guess they went around. The Chinese were not really happy, because the Chinese are better educated. They can see that it's not really a good idea. But then the Dayaks, the Malays, personally, I feel they agree. They agree to be part of this big nation, Malaysia, and that's the reason why I say we can't really say that they're still calling it, because the views of people of Sabah and Sarawak do get heard through the Cobalt Commission, and we was presented.
Sure, but speaking, I'm asking to wear your hat as a lawyer. A lot of people argue that maybe the agreement, because Sabah and Sarawak will call this, maybe that this agreement called the Malaysia Agreement is not valid. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I can't specifically say that it's not valid, because it's not been challenged at all. But I do accept the fact that views of those people in Sarawak per se was heard, though it might not be the whole of Sarawak. But then important leaders in the state do give their views, and they agree to to have that Malaysian agreement being signed. And there was a wakil, there is a representative from Sarawak who was there to sign. The father of the present chief minister.
Yes, in London.
Yeah. So I can't really say that the agreement is not valid. It is an agreement. Yeah. Unless somebody challenge it and bring it to the United Nations or to the World Court.
Sure.
Only then we can.
Which is probably not possible because, as you know,
not possible. Yeah,
not possible. So anyway, so given the fact that even though that a lot of people are unhappy with this grievances has been building up for the last 50 years. So since it's not really a legal issue, as you mentioned, since it's a political issue, how do you resolve something like this? How do you solve these long-term grievances, historical grievances?
Well, political will is among them. The parties that signed the agreement, they must know what are the rights that they have taken away. Because I think it's an open secret that during the last 57 years, a lot of those things that have been promised, that has been that are supposed to be given to us, Sabahans and Sarawakians, the yearly contribution from the government has suddenly been taken away. The rights of our continental shelf was taken away via the Sea Territorial Act. The PDA, the setting up of Petronas, which gives vests onto Petronas the full rights over oil and gas. And unfortunately, when the federal government, state government are the same, prior to this, both are the Barista National. We just did not really go into this deeper. That's why there is a blessing also with after the last general election, whereby we become an opposition. So it gives us, it opens up our eyes, and we have to see. We know that we are not going to get that kind of monetary help from federal government. So we have to source out that. That's where the idea of the sales tax on oil and gas comes into the picture. So I try to look at it from that angle. It's a blessing in disguise, and through it, we are able to secure the oil and gas sales tax now. It's huge. I would say huge, because every year Petronas will be giving us just a very little amount, 600 million, 700 million. And then now we are getting just for 1 year, 2 billion. It's a lot of money.
But in terms of the political process, as you know, at the federal level, the political process was actually started by the old Najib administration. They had a federal cabinet committee on this. Then after they lost power, Pakatan also set up a federal level committee on this to look at MA63 and related issues. But this has been going on for a few years, and you know, the people in the street don't really see any outcome of this process. So is this process working or not working?
This is where I say just now. That is where I said just now. Political will. We do not want to have leaders who only want us to get excited. We don't want federal leaders who will start giving us a lot of promises, including Tun Mahathir. The first year when he became Prime Minister, and on Malaysia Day, on the 16th of September in KK, he told us Malaysia is 3 regions: Sabah, Sarawak, and Malaya. We will make sure that your rights are being protected. But 1 year after that, the next Malaysia Day, we are still scrambling, waiting for all those promises to be a reality. So what we want now is to see West Malaysian leaders, whoever they are, they must be able to look into what are the grievances, what are the things that makes Sabah and Sarawakians unhappy. Because if they prolong this thing, it is not going to be good for Malaysia. It's not going to be good. We are the state which have been providing a lot to the development of Malaysia.
So what should the process be? I mean, if the Federal Cabinet Committee cannot deal with this issue, or took them a long time to deal with this issue, then what sort of process are we talking about? What sort of process in terms of federal-state relationship? How should we move the process forward?
Well, it might I might sound crude here. Personally, I would prefer the West Malaysian parties to be always having problem among themselves, whereby they will have to rely on the state government of Sabah and Sarawak to make the numbers. I'm not saying that I want them to lose, but then we would want to be seen as the kingmaker. When you are the kingmaker, you can dictate terms. And I believe the sales tax the other day, which we won, and federal government did not appeal on that decision. Partly it's because of that. Partly it's because of that. Yeah.
Well, you know, right? Under the most recent cabinet level committee, it was led by Dr. V.K. Liu from Sabah, and he managed to. Well, he claims that he managed to resolve about 17 out of 21 issues. So the last few issues was basically the special grants to Sabah and Sarawak, and he mentioned that this was actually agreed to by the chief minister. A figure was put up, and the second issue, which was so-called unresolved, was the oil and gas issue. So can you update me on what's happening with these two issues? Sarawak's and Sabah position, I assume, is that you want to take back the control of this. What is the current federal government thinking on this issue?
On the, is it on the oil and gas?
On the oil and gas and the special grants.
Oh, yeah. We would want what we have decided in 1963, especially on the special grants. It was stopped halfway in the 70s. I do not know why we do not make an issue out of it. But then it was wrong for the federal government to stop it. It should be progressively be increased, the amount. And apart from that, the 5% royalty, it cannot be static. It cannot be static. Even tenancy agreement, after 3 years.
No, I understand that. I'm saying that this new government in Putrajaya that came into power on 1st of March, have they agreed to resolve these issues?
So far, we have not gone into that. But then I can say that they are more accommodative to the state government as compared to Tun M. It's not easy to sit down with someone like Tun M. We will say just no. But at least Muhyiddin seems to be accommodative to us. And that's the kind of thing. And we do hope that West Malaysian leaders, whoever they are going to be in the government, whether now or in future, must be able to realize what are the terms and conditions in the MA63. Well, personally, I see it was purposely done that way, whereby our students, our school students are not being taught on this. Probably there have been some intention to slowly put it into oblivion, so that people will not be able to know about their rights.
Yes.
But with Datuk Danan, the late Datuk Danan, coming up very strongly, and that's why he's being revered very much by Sarawakians. He was the first one who really hit at the federal government pertaining to the rights of Sabah and Sarawak.
So actually, what does the Sarawak government want in terms of oil and gas? I mean, right now you have a legal situation where the PDA, the oil and gas has invested to them. So what is the Sarawak government after? Are they after 100% taking back the rights, or they want to increase the royalties, or what are they actually after?
Yeah. You see, on a personal note, I can't speak on behalf of the state government. On a personal note, we are Malaysians. Each state have got the spirit of Malaysian must be there. I don't think all the resources of Sabah and Sarawak should be for Sabah and Sarawak. It should be shared. But there must be an equitable quantum, a good quantum to be used for the state. And 5% is not an equitable quantum, because the way I see it, the amount of money from oil and gas, which is taken by federal government, is so huge as compared to what the state that is producing the resources. So
what I mean, your personal opinion, what is the fair quantum then? For Sabah, they're looking at 10% because they think that's all Petronas can afford. What is your personal opinion?
That is Liu's opinion. Personally, I see royalty at least 20%. Royalty, because we do know how much federal is getting. They are getting what Sarawak is getting. They are also getting the tax. The tax is huge.
Plus the dividends.
Yeah, plus the dividends. So things like that. So 10%, we can ask for more. There are always so many other countries that we can make comparison. Canada or things like that. You know, the European countries where that do have oil also. We can always use this as sampling to come up to a good figure, to trash it out with Petronas. But we can always start with 20%, because that is the figure for your royalty. That is the figure which Pakatan Harapan promised us in their manifesto for the last election. For them to come up with a manifesto promising 20% royalty, I think they must have do a little bit of calculation. Then we go back to that 20%. The sales tax, that is the right of the state, which is enshrined in the federal constitution.
But you think that Sarawak should not challenge the validity of the whole PDA?
That is another area altogether, because everyone knows that PDA has never been brought to.
That's right, has never been challenged. Yes,
to be endorsed by the state, and also it was an act which was introduced during the emergency, under an emergency law. When emergency has been taken back, it become very questionable. Nobody has bring it up to the court whether that piece of legislation is legal or not. But then so many thousands of agreement has been signed, whether in Malaysia, whether with the contractors, with overseas. I think we have to take that into cognition, and because if we are to challenge and declare and hope to see Petronas as an illegal entity, which is null and void, it might collapse the whole Malaysian economy. We have to be careful of that also. So there must be a balancing, give and take down here. Personally, I'm quite okay with having Petronas around, but the federal government as well as Petronas must also listen to the request from Sarawak, as far as our rights, as far as the dividends, as far as the sharing of the profits with the state where they extract out the oil and gas.
Well, yeah, but my point is that obviously, you know, as you mentioned earlier, there have been problems in federal-state relationship for the past 57 years. So going forward, how do you address this? Should we really be looking at a new model for federal-state relationship? And if we are looking for a new model, what will the new model look like?
Sabah and Sarawak, or in this case, since the topic is more on Sarawak, Sarawak cannot be seen as equivalent, just like any of the other states in West Malaysia. That must be
the starting point.
The starting point. We cannot, because as it is, Sarawak has got rights over autonomy, immigration autonomy. We have got rights over quite a lot of things. The continental shelf is huge. So now all Sarawakian knows that you have not been honest with us when you come up with PDA, when you come up with City Territorial Act, which limit our boundary to just 3 miles. What about the 200
No, I understand.
miles,
That's why I'm asking you, how do we move the process forward? The question is, how do you move the process forward?
Then both sides must be able to accept these changes, new outlook. Not just Sarawakians, West Malaysian. The problem here is a lot of West Malaysian leaders does not understand this. They look at Sabah and Sarawak as just like any other state. So there must be a new outlook. If we have to amend the constitution to reflect Malaysia as a confederation of 3 unions, Sabah, Sarawak, and Semenanjung, and another federation of the Malayan states in West Malaysia, so be it. But then it would be good to please the state that is providing a lot for you, for Malaysia.
Then this brings me to the related question. This brings you a related
Yeah.
question because one of the things that happened in 2019 was that the amendment to symbolically put Sabah and Sarawak back to the 1963 wording in April 2019. That did not happen because GPS abstained. If GPS is really interested, why did you abstain?
Well, there was no honesty. The way I see it, on a personal note, there was no good faith in the tabling of that amendment to Article 1. The papers, the bill was only passed over one day before. There was no opportunity to really look into the request, because before the tabling of the bill, there have been discussion between the state government and the federal government. And there have been requests by the state government for certain provisions. But somehow it was totally ignored. It cannot be a one-sided affair. If you want to talk about the relationship of Sabah, Sarawak, and Semenanjung Malaysia, the views of the three entities must be taken into cognition. You cannot be the big brother dictating everything, you know. But that is Tun Mahathir. And unfortunately, politician like Liu seems to be following suit. Following suit. As if acting as a mouthpiece of them, which is unfortunate. We stand firm on this matter. Now they have to come back again. And this time round, I believe we will stand firm. We will not give up things that we want, because we also referred this matter to our Attorney General, to the legal, the lawyers in Kuching. I still remember, I also sit in that committee, you know, together with the Advocates Association, just to brainstorm. We also listen to all those down there. We cannot just let Malaya to dictate to us. No way we will accept it, because they have not been sincere with us for the last 57 years.
So does this mean that Sarawak is hoping that the new government will retable the bill using the wordings put up by Sarawak? Is that what you're hoping for?
They will have to. They will have to retable the bill sooner or later. Sooner or later they will have to retable the bill, because if they don't, the people of Sarawak as well as Sabah will not be happy. We cannot be put on the same platform with Perlis or Malacca. How could we?
The argument from the other side is that the reason why the wordings were not taken into account, the so-called 5 words, was that because it's not consistent with the rest of the Malaysian constitution, and also that was the advice given by the AG, the Malaysian AG.
Yes, also the Sarawak AG. The definition of federation in the federal constitution relates to the federation of Malaya, the states and federation of. We asked for that to be amended also.
At the same time.
At the same time, because if you are to use that definition, there is no Sabah and Sarawak. Because the definition of federation in Malaysia is the federation as per 1946.
But the Federal Attorney General advised against it.
Well, the Federal Attorney General at that time, I would say he only lists. I don't know who is advising who. Probably the Prime Minister advising him. The way I see it, he's just a stooge of the Prime Minister.
Now, I'm working on the assumption that because GPS is the ally of the new government, not a former member yet, that you're hoping to push through as many of these as possible. One of the ongoing questions I have, this is my own personal question, is that why is it so hard for Sabah and Sarawak to come together with a common set of demands? Because every time we negotiate with Putrajaya, it seems that there's no common positions between Sabah and Sarawak. Why is that?
Well, presently, the state government of Sabah is not one that in line with us.
But this issue is really not a political issue. It's really about the formation of the federation and the rights given, you know. I mean, this is sort of a historical fact that special rights were given to Sabah and Sarawak. It's sort of beyond politics.
There are lots of differences in Sabah and Sarawak. Sarawak is actually a colony of Britain. Sabah is a landed area which is leased to a company, North Borneo
Chartered Company, yes.
North Borneo Chartered Company. So in Sarawak, we do able to introduce our own law even before Malaysia. That is OMO and all that. We even send athletes to the Olympic. When you are sending athletes to Olympic, you are deemed to be a nation.
I know the historical differences, but my point is that today, in the 21st century, why can't the ruling parties of both states come together with a common set of demands when they confront Putrajaya on this issue? Why is it so difficult to get together? Because it's really when you look at it closely, it's really not a political issue. It's about reclaiming historical rights, isn't it?
Yeah. I know it would be better for us to be together, but the intrigue in politics, I know West Malaysia will not want to see us to be together. They will try to put a wedge in between. When it comes to passing the budget, the budget, the last budget, Sabah got so much more. It's probably to please Sabah. So we are in that kind of situation whereby the masters up there is doing their part also to create a wedge between us. Of course, they wouldn't want to see us united in one stand on this matter.
If that is the case, if that is the case, then the onus is on the leaders of Sabah and Sarawak to go beyond all this silly divide and rule game.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. And we do hope that. Well, I have faith in leaders in Sarawak. I have faith because I'm with them. But I do hope that leaders in Sabah, those that align themselves to West Malaysian parties. I guess you know what I mean. There's so many of them who are not under state-born parties. They have to listen to the masters in West Malaysia.
Is that what happened when GPS was under Barista National? Is that what happened when GPS was Barista National? You had to listen to Kuala Lumpur?
Not exactly, because when there is Barista National, in actual fact, there is Barista National, and there is Barista National Sarawak. Barista National Sarawak has quite a strength on its own. We are able to stop West Malaysian Barista National parties to step foot in Sarawak. We don't have UMNO, we don't have MCA Gerakan. The opposition, DAP, PKR are not with us. They can come in. But then we are able to stop. And it carries a lot of weight to what we are now. That's how I see it. Whereas in Sabah, any Tom and Dick and Harry under Barisan National, they have got parties down there. Gerakan, MCA.
Yes. I understand. So this was an understanding between the former Chief Minister Tad Mahmud and Tun Mahathir. Will this understanding hold going forward?
I believe it will hold on for quite a while. It depends on the leaders in the state. We need to have good leaders who are able to analyze, who are able to look forward, and not think of their pocket. Think about the welfare of the state, our anak cucu in future. They must have that feeling of patriotism towards the state and also towards Malaysia. Only then we would be able to have a win-win kind of situation. I'm not saying that we must challenge West Malaysia all the time. We have to live in that kind of equilibrium where the West Malaysian leaders respect us, respect our rights, respect our resources, and make sure that we need to be going forward as much as the way West Malaysian states are going forward.
Now I understand that Sarawak is after autonomy in key areas like education and health.
Yes.
How far have the negotiations gone in these two areas?
Well, partly because of the changes in the federal government, things get a little bit frustrated. But personally, I see it would be easier to talk with the present government than the previous government. We will just hope that the present government that is in federal are able to get out of the problem that they are facing. There is this problem of uncertainty. There's
Yes,
still
yes.
these problems of they have not stabilized yet. COVID-19 has managed to keep them there, for a while. And I do hope that Malaysians are able to appreciate what they have done. Once they have stabilized and we have the right leaders up there, and with the kind of power that we have, because we are very much needed to hold on to that government. Without if we pull out, that government collapse. So there would this would be able to carry a lot of weight in whatever negotiation that we have.
All right, Dato'. So the time is up. Thank you very much for appearing in this
thank
short
you so much,
podcast.
James.
Thank you.
I've always looked up to your write-up, yeah. Thank